right, Heber Valley. Welcome, welcome to the first show. This is for the health of it. We've got to say that very clearly so we don't get in trouble. But welcome, welcome. This is our first show. I'm very, very excited. I want you to know I didn't sleep great last night. I was so excited. It's kind of like the first day of school. I had my wife lay out my clothes for me this morning. It was a good night, though, and now we are here and ready to go. So welcome to everybody that's listening. And to those of you who aren't, you can't hear me, so it doesn't matter. So I'm really, really excited, like I said, to be here. I'll move my head around from the microphone from time to time. That's going to get better as we do this longer. But I wanted to just start out with my goals. When I was thinking about Heber Valley needs a health show, I thought, as I'm out and about, I see people just like you guys do that are running or walking their dogs, riding their bikes. It's a beautiful place to be active and to be healthy. And so I thought we should have a show on our radio station and talk about how to make everybody as healthy as that. So my goals are, first one, I want to give helpful and implementable hints. Now, I think that's important, right? We can all talk about what things we think are important, what things we think we should do, but unless we actually know what we should do, that's a different story. So I just got a note from Sandy here, the owner, and she told me I didn't even say my name, so that's a good thing to start out with. I'm Dr. Scott Phillips, and I've got some intro, too, that I'm going to do a little bit later. But I want to give you hints and ideas that are very, very implementable, things that you can do starting even today, because look how beautiful it is outside. Second thing, I want to introduce you guys to some local practitioners here. I want to get you involved in how many people we have that are healthcare providers here in town. It's a huge array, and I think most people don't even know the half of them. So I'm going to bring them on here on the show. Today we have my lovely friend, Miss Cheryl Laub. Your mic's on, so you can say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And we'll get to Cheryl. She's going to talk quite a bit. She doesn't have a problem talking. That's why I had her first on. And so we're going to talk with her, but I want you guys to get to know a lot of these people, a lot of these different services that we have, and start to use them in your own healthcare teams. And so I'm excited for you to get them. And then thirdly, I want you to be entertained and have a good time. I'm a middle child of 7 kids, and so that means that I've always wanted to be the center of attention. I've always wanted people to listen to me. So here I am. We'll be nice and entertaining, and if I'm not, please feel free to call in and tell me that I need to be more entertained. If you're falling asleep, then let me know. So let's do some big time introduction. I thought about it as I was writing this. I thought, you know what? I'm on the radio. I could change my voice and have me introduce myself and sound more important, and then thank me for introducing myself, because it's a little hard sometimes to talk about me, but I didn't do that, and so here we go. I'll say some things on my own. My doctorate is in chiropractic, so I'm a local chiropractor here in town. I own Lifestyle Chiropractic and Wellness Center. It's over in the Clock Tower building, beautiful building over there. That should be listening to this show. I asked the owner if he'd turn the radio station, so hopefully I'm giving a good shout out to them. What does it mean to be a chiropractor? A lot of people don't really know, and I'm not sure if I really even know, but I'll tell you what my focus is in healthcare is health optimization. Basically what that means is we have this fun area between, hey, I'm not sick, right? Hopefully not many of you out there are actually dealing with sickness and symptoms this morning. But there's this gray area between what is not sick and what is healthy, right? Just because I'm not mad doesn't mean I'm happy. And so what I want to do is I want to help people that come into my office say, you know what, I'm not necessarily dealing with anything specific right now, but I feel like my health can get better. I feel like I can improve. And that's where I kind of come in and say, well, here are some changes that you can make. And so that's what I do in my office, and I figured, sheesh, I might as well try to help people just generally in the Valley. And so that's another real big reason that I came out here, but that's really where my training is. The other fun thing I get to do a couple of times a week is go over to the UVU Wasatch campus and teach nutrition. And I've been doing that for a couple of years, and I'll tell you the fun thing about that is it keeps me current as far as the nutritional trends. Cheryl here herself is in the nutrition field, and she deals with what people are eating. But what I decided is if I can teach college students, right, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, how to eat better, I think I could probably teach anybody. Would that be, do you think that's correct there, Cheryl? I'm not sure.
I do. Starting younger, the better.
I'm not sure how well college students eat. I can tell you how I ate in college, and it was not great, that's for sure. So that's kind of a little bit of my background and my training. But really, as far as intro goes and as far as why I'm here and what the heck I'm doing on the air, a lot of it has to do, really what I'm doing professionally has a lot to do with my own healthcare journey. And so if you'll indulge me for a few minutes, I'll kind of give you an idea of what that is and kind of what I've been doing in my own health and in my own family's health. And so hopefully that will let you know kind of where I was, and maybe some of you are thinking, hey, that's kind of where I am. And the other fun thing is that's kind of where Cheryl was a little while ago, and so we'll get to hear about hers as well. But my story pretty much started back in high school. I played football in Texas, and if you guys ever seen any of those movies about Texas high school football, I want you to know it's all true. As crazy as it looks. I grew up in a town of probably 250,000 people, and we had a stadium that sat 25,000, and it was packed every Friday night pretty much, and everybody came and listened and watched the game. So we learned a lot of things playing football in high school, and one was how to lift weights, and a lot of weights. The other was how to condition well and sprint and things like that. And the third was how to gain a lot of weight. And we learned how to gain weight quite efficiently and effectively. And so by the time I quit gaining weight, which was not in high school, that was probably more in college, to be honest, I topped at a big whopping 268. And it was kind of a fun number to get to, but I'll tell you that it was not all muscle, right? Maybe I told myself I was a little big boned, right? I'm going to break for 1 second and ask my friend Cheryl to scoot to a chair in the middle, just because I'm looking over at her, and that's what makes my voice change in the microphone. You don't mind, do you, Cheryl?
I don't mind. Like right here?
Perfect. Okay, sorry about that.
I was going to say, I got you topped. You only topped me by 6 pounds.
All right, see, there weight. You go.
Yeah.
So we'll go back to that somewhat larger... Up higher? Oh, yeah, I took it down because she was pulling it out. Sorry, these are the fun things that we're going to talk about on our first show, too. All the administrative stuff. At any rate, so there I was, a college student, newly married, right? My wife was making wonderful food, and I was eating a lot of it. And the problem really was that I didn't feel out of shape. I didn't feel like I couldn't walk or run or do anything that I love to do. I was just big, and what I started to realize was the way that I was living my life and the things that I was doing was very status quo for most normal Americans, right? The food that I was eating, the things I was putting into my body, the activity that I was not involved in, those types of things, pretty much put me on track with most Americans these days to chronic illness and, unfortunately, even early death. And so what started happening is I knew I wanted to be in healthcare. I knew I wanted to be a healthcare provider. But what I started to realize was that in that journey of being a healthcare provider, I was not living the type of life that I would want my patients to live. And so that kind of dual mindset started to be very problematic to me. And so as I was learning things, especially when I was in chiropractic school, I was learning about nutrition. I was learning about physiology, biochemistry, these things. And I thought, you know what? I need to change. I need to start doing things to help my body. And really, it all started mostly from nutrition. That's why today's topic is nutrition. We're going to do nutrition for the next few shows, because that's where I started. I started to realize what nutrition was, what it was doing for me, and more importantly, at that time in my life, what it was doing against me, what it was fighting me against. And so I started to realize that the top 4 killers in the United States, CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, have come out and said those top 4 killers in the United States are lifestyle diseases. They're diseases that can be changed, can be reversed, can be prevented through lifestyle changes. And so as I started to do that, and as I started to change and implement some of these secrets, tips, and things like that I'm going to hopefully start sharing with you guys, um, that's when I started to realize how healthy my body could be and how healthy I could feel. And so after that, I've lost about 70 pounds and kept it off. I've become an avid runner. I enjoy marathons. I enjoy triathlons. That's probably where my favorite thing is. I like riding my bike around town. So if I'm out and about, please don't hit me. I'd appreciate that. And it's just kind of a fun place, like I say, to be active and to be healthy. And in Texas, man, if you didn't get out and weren't running by 3 o'clock in the morning, it was already 90 degrees. So I'm glad I'm here and can do it much later on in the day. Let's see. So I guess really in closing of my introduction, again, I hope this hasn't been too boring, but I just would say if you get any tips, any ideas here on this show that begin your path, or at least take you away from kind of that average American, standard American, chronic illnesses, prescription pills, all those kinds of things that we don't necessarily want to do. If anything here helps that change, helps you start to feel healthier, then I want you to know that's exactly why I'm here, and I hope that that's what's going to happen. The other thing I wanted to talk about too was also for our children. My least favorite healthcare statistic right now, it's just ridiculous, is that our generation, the generation that I'm raising right now, I've got 4 kids at home under the age of 7. Yeah, and 1 on the way.
Yeah, surprise.
This generation that we're raising right now is actually supposed to have a lower life expectancy than us. Which for me is such a ridiculous statistic. It's depressing for me. It's not very happy. And we won't be very depressing very long in this show. But what I want you to know is a lot of what drives me also is for this next generation. So any tips that we talk about for the kids, I just challenge you to implement them and start trying and start seeing what else we can do here for the health of this community. So that's kind of the intro. Like I say, I'm very, very excited to share what I know and to just kind of help people start this path onto healthier living. We're all in different stages. That's the great thing about it. Is I could be there could be people listening right now that are way healthier than me, which is okay. In fact, I think Melissa Milam's listening, and I know she's healthier than I am. So we're all just in different stages, and so any ideas and tips that I can share, any that you want to share with me, I'm definitely into. And I just, like I say, I think as a community we can start to build our health. So let me tell you a little bit about the show format, if that's okay. Just because an hour, my wife says getting me to talk is not hard, getting me to shut up is the hard part, but an hour can be a little bit of a long time, so I want to make sure there are fun things that we do and specific things we're going to do on the show. So the first thing we're going to talk about is kind of health promoting and healthy events and classes around town. I have my own little list that I've put together, but definitely if there are anyone out there that have things that they'd like people to know about, I invite you to let me know about it or to come on the show and announce it on your own. That's going to be definitely a part of the show that we'll talk about each week. Next, I'm going to be searching articles. I really enjoy kind of the current events, the current research, the current fun studies and things like that about health. And so that's going to be something we're going to do too. And I found a really fun article today I'm really excited about. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. The next thing I want to do is a joke of the day, a medical joke of the day, and I want you to know that I was searching for a really, really good one. I am not pleased with what I found, to be honest. And so this is a call to these listeners here. If you have any funny jokes, I want you to submit them to me. I'm going to be on my Facebook page all during the show, and so if you find one that's funny and I use it, I'm going to say your name even, so you can be super happy about that. And so I've got one today, but like I say, it's not that great. So please help me with that. I'm interested in facts and figures and interesting things like that. And so the other thing we'll talk about is the medical fact of the day, something very interesting, something maybe that people don't really know much about. And so we'll do one of those, and that'll be fun. And then we'll introduce our topic of discussion. I anticipate that to really take the bulk of the time, and that's really where my friends that I bring on are going to be really involved in there. And today, of course, like I say, it's nutrition. It's very simplistic nutrition. Today, we're going to talk just about some ingredients that that I like to keep out of my food, and I'll tell you why and what they are. So I like to keep my discussion topics very broad because I'm very prone to get sidetracked, and so that's why nutrition is the general topic. So if we say anything about food, right, we're on task, and so that's most topics will not be much more specific than that, to be honest. And then of course I'll bring on my guests, and the thing I thought about when I brought you on today, Cheryl, is in talking about my story and talking about your stories, I thought, you know what, if we met as fat people, I think we'd be friends too. So,
friends, yeah.
So we didn't really know each other at that time, but I think we definitely would have been good friends still. And then soon, not today, just because I'm too new, and Sandy was trying to show me how to take calls, and we'll practice that a little bit, but very soon I want to have a call-in portion, and that's kind of a free-for-all. It's a little scary for me, but I'm excited. So any questions that people might have, whether it relates to the topic on hand or if it's just something general about healthcare, if I don't know the answer, I promise you I'll find someone that does. Obviously, keeping it on topic would make it easier for us to answer because I'd have an expert here in the room with me. But really anything that you're interested in as far as questions go, feel free to call in and ask. Just not today, but soon we'll get that rolling. I will say that as far as interaction goes today, like I said, I'm going to be on my Facebook page. If you are on Facebook or have a phone open or anything like that, the page is my business's page. It's Lifestyle Chiropractic and Wellness Center. If you want to go to that page, any questions you have during the course of the show, any comments you have, I thought that definitely compliments are welcome if you wanted to put on there what a great job I'm doing, those types of things. They're very, very appreciated. Let's see. If you want to like the page, you definitely can. You don't have to. Anything I say that's wrong, feel free to correct me. I'm not sure if I'll actually correct it on air, but... and so that's really where we're going to go. And like I say, this kind of first show is the time to just introduce that and get that going. And starting next week, we'll just sort of get rolling right at the beginning. And if I can remember to say my name every time, maybe I'll even be doing better next week than I did this week. So let's go back to the top. Let's talk about first these healthy events and classes. The first one I wanted to talk about is kind of a fun one. A lot of people, when you talk exercise, and I think Cheryl can agree with me here, when we talk exercise, sometimes that's a bad word for people, right? Almost like a cuss word.
Sometimes.
Right? We think, oh, I want to exercise. No, I don't want to exercise because it almost seems like, oh, I got to get it. I got to dress in that outfit, right? That's the first thing.
Jiggle around in front of all those people. No.
And I got to sweat, and it's got to be miserable. And so one thing when we get into physical fitness and things like that, I really want people to know when you're moving your body, when you're just moving, it's so good for you. And so the Parks and Rec is sponsoring an event that I think is going to be really, really fun. It's a country dance night. Again, I said I grew up in Texas, but I want you to know the first pair of boots I bought was in Heber City.
Recently.
And so this place, as far as country goes, is more than I grew up in, and that excites me, and I'm very happy about it. And so we've got Ed Burns is going to be there. He's the country dance instructor. We're going to be at the Parks and Rec there in the Activa Plaza on Saturday. This Saturday from 7 to 11, wow, or 9:30 if your bedtime is like mine. But you can stay till 11 if you'd like. Cost is very, very reasonable. If you're going as a couple, it's only $8. And if you're going as yourself and just want to go there alone, you can go for $5. I think they should get a discount if they're going by themselves. That's hard.
Find a partner there.
Right? Sheesh. Anyway, $8 a couple or $5 if you're going by yourself. It is just 18 years and older, though I'll tell you that my 3-year-old would do a really good job.
Yeah.
And Dickey's Barbecue is going to be there also. They're going to offer some meals there. Again, reasonable prices. So that's Saturday night, guys. If you enjoy dancing, if you especially enjoy country dancing, I think that's a great thing to do. The next event that I'm excited about, this is an annual event that they really do a great job with. It's called the Health and Safety Fair. It's the Kids Health and Safety Fair. It's for everybody. It's on May 10th, so that's a week from this Saturday. Cheryl, you ever been to the Health and Safety Fair?
I have.
That's nice.
It is
The
fun.
kids love it.
Yeah. I took my kids always when they were younger.
I know that they're running the mile-by-mile marathon. That's the last kind of leg of that marathon, so the kids get to come in and get a medal, and there's games, and there's health-sponsored activities. My favorite place, and the one I always set my booth up next to, is have you seen this crash thing that the police station
Crash
has?
dummies?
Yeah, they put you in a car and actually ram you into something. And I think for a chiropractor, I think that's fantastic, right? I mean,
You like to be right there to take
yeah,
clean up the damage.
I'm right there as soon as they say, hey, you know. So anyway, some of the fun things, we got some screenings, right? Some health screenings. Low-cost car seats. That's a big thing that drives a lot of people over. Really, really good prices on car seats and bike and rodeo helmets for sure. Unplugged will have a presence there, so if you guys took part in that last summer and enjoyed that, they'll be there. You can talk to them. A lot of really, really fun things to do. So that starts at 9 o'clock in the morning there, and it's just out on the lawn of the police station. And I'm trying to see if there's a address here. I don't know exactly, but it's right off Main Street. If you're driving by, you'll see it. It's quite an event, and if you got kids, they're going to love that. So let's see.
The old Central School.
Oh, it's the old Central School. Yeah, see, I'm too
Right on
new.
Main Street.
I'm too new to know
You
that.
are.
Shoot, I shouldn't say that. I mean, yeah, the old Central School. I know where that is. And then the other event that I wanted to announce. This isn't necessarily health related, but it's a great event. It's the ACE Award Recognition Night. And so Wasatch Community Foundation is pleased to announce the 12th Annual ACE Award Recognition Night, Thursday, May the 1st, that's today, at the Wasatch High School Auditorium. 14 outstanding Wasatch District educators will be honored. Each of them have received $100, but that night a teacher will be awarded the title of Educator of the Year, along with $1,000 and a runner-up of $200. And I'm not sure, but I think they get a tiara too, don't they?
Unless it's a guy.
I don't know. Maybe.
Scepter.
And then of the 14 honored on Thursday, 7 of them are staff, and one of them will also receive $1,000 and a runner-up of $200. So definitely want to honor the staff there too. So if you want to be a part of the Education Celebration of the Year, it's 6:30 tonight at the auditorium. Admission is free, and refreshments will be served.
Nice.
So as we talk nutrition today, hopefully the refreshments
Water.
won't be too much over what But I'll tell you, this is a great evening. The highlights the wonderful men and women who truly make a difference in the lives of our children. I know my kids have great teachers. Your kids
I do
probably have great
too.
teachers.
We are so blessed.
We've got great teachers in
We
the
are
valley.
so blessed.
None of them are listening to the show right now,
know,
so
they're
so it's
working.
unsolicited,
I know,
right? I mean,
I know.
it's not like they told me to say that they
I
were.
know. That's a good thing, actually.
I'll tell you, those are the best kinds of compliments. So those are my events. Let's talk article, guys. This article is such a fun one. I found it just on CNN. And what it has to do with, right? We've heard that laughter is the best medicine. You've heard that, haven't you?
Gosh, I so believe that.
Well, I'm not sure if it's 100% true.
I believe it's 100% true.
I know that I tried tickling my patients one time. I got into trouble for
bet.
that. So we're
Yeah.
not.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that was a bad study. But no, I didn't. I promise you, come to my office, I won't tickle you. I should say that. Oh my goodness. So CNN put out a little study that says why laughing is healthy, and this is interesting because what they did is they kind of hooked people up to those EEGs, right? The read your brain waves.
Oh yeah.
And
See
they
those
clip things on
endorphins
you.
going.
Oh yeah, exactly. And so what they did is they had let's say they had 31 people watching a funny video, and then the same people when they watched a stressful video.
Like cops.
Sure, I don't know. Those can be funny
Those
videos.
are
though.
awful. I hate to watch those.
Maybe those are both.
Yeah.
And so the researchers measured activity in 9 parts of the brain, and what they noticed was during the funny videos, the viewers actually activated the entire brain
Wow.
with what they call gamma wave activity, as measured by those EEGs. And then when they watched the stressful videos, it was just one area of the brain. And so that was really very interesting to them, that as you're laughing, you actually stimulate the entire brain. And you start to produce dopamine, which is our real feel-good chemical there in the brain. I like that it was gamma waves, because, you know, gamma radiation in the Hulk and things like that. So maybe get extra strength too.
Superpowers.
That's right. But this is what I like to say, is not only can laughing help increase your awareness, Burke thinks it is likely to have the health benefits of meditation.
Wow.
Like reducing stress, blood pressure, and pain, which I think is really cool, because I'm not a great meditator.
No, I suck at it.
Right? My mind just goes. But I can laugh. And so not that I'm not saying you shouldn't meditate, but maybe just a good, hearty, something
blue-collar
funny.
radio driving down the road.
Yeah,
Something like that.
exactly, right. Get you some laughter. That's right, because I don't know if meditating while you're driving is a great idea.
probably not a good
You want to keep your eyes open.
Yeah.
Watch the road.
Has to be the blue-collar radio.
Yeah. And so you just listen and laugh, and then at the end, this is what I like too. Is he said, so the next time your boss catches you watching a funny cat video, just tell him or her that you're trying to be more productive. Right? Because
show them the research.
I'm just trying to stimulate all parts of my brain.
Absolutely.
And
That's pretty awesome, though.
That's a great study,
I love
don't you
that
think?
study. Yeah.
And the other thing too is I want this show to be funny. I hope that people that are listening have at least laughed one time.
Wake up in the morning and get your endorphins
And
going.
let's laugh and let's be funny. That's right. And so that's my article for the day. Again, like I say, I found it on CNN, and if you read it on the internet, it's got to be true, right? Isn't that what they say?
Of course.
So I'm happy about that. I'm really, really hesitant to tell the joke of the day.
Tell the joke.
I'm really nervous.
Don't be scared.
I know, but it's the first one. I want it to be good, and I searched and
Okay, go.
so oh my goodness.
I'll laugh.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So doctor and a nurse are in the hospital. A lady had been admitted for eating just a handful of quarters. She just ate all these quarters. And the doctor's very concerned about her, right? And so as the nurse comes out of her room, doctor grabs her and stops her and says, how's the patient doing? And the nurse looks up and says, no change.
No change yet.
So
it's bad.
just terrible, right? I mean, so this is why I need people. Please help me find
Help
good
him.
jokes, because that was just pathetic. Now, the stat of the day, though, I'm really excited about, and I'll tell you that this came about in a conversation in the office yesterday, because I thought, what would people think is cool and want to learn about? And for some reason, we got talking about people with a sixth digit, right? Either on their finger, on their hands, or their toes, right? That's kind of a, I don't know why. I'm a weird person, but
I think that's fascinating.
right?
Actually.
So here's your fact, that 1 in 500 live births will contain either an extra finger or an extra toe. 1 in 500.
Is it usually a thumb or a pinky?
You know, they didn't tell me which one. It's the condition is called polydactyly, which sounds super scientific,
Yeah,
but it just
fancy.
means more digits. And 1 in 500 births, that's a lot,
That is a lot.
right?
Yeah. And
So
do they have
this-
them removed, or do they
I think
typically
most
leave
people
them?
probably have them
Shoes
removed.
probably don't accommodate.
Yeah, exactly. You've seen those new running shoes, the 5 fingers?
Gloves.
Yeah, no, you can't. I don't think they made a 6-finger one yet
Yeah.
to run in. But what I will say is that then this is where my mind goes, right? I'm really kind of a strange person, and so I thought of the movie The Princess Bride, right? And we've all seen that one. And this guy's searching the world for the 6-fingered man, isn't he?
Yes.
So this is what I'm worried about, is if that were true, you got a 1 in 500
It could be
chance of
anybody.
finding him. So I guess it's good that in the movie he found the right one, because I mean, for shame if he found one that had
Back
nothing
then,
to
there probably
do with.
wasn't that many. Now we have so many.
Well, that could be.
because of our
but-
dietary intake.
we'll talk about that. But that's what I think is, sheesh, I'm glad he didn't find the wrong one, because
know.
that could have been
I
embarrassing.
know.
Huh.
Especially in that movie.
But he didn't have his removed.
He didn't.
He was proud of
absolutely
that,
not.
I guess. I don't know why everyone has seen that movie in this valley.
It's an amazing movie.
It's a classic. You're right. I agree. So let's get to the topic today. We'll get enough silliness, right?
No, not
Sheesh.
ever enough silliness.
I know. Silliness is great. But the topic today, like I say, is nutrition. And let me tell you about nutrition. Let me tell you about what I think about nutrition, because it can be a very, not controversial, so to speak, but a very changing conversation, right? I think that's one of the biggest problems that people have with nutrition is one day they read that, oh, here's the new miracle thing, like get this, take this, eat it in large quantities. And then like 2 days later, someone else comes out and says, oh, no, that's not good. Do this instead. And so when I talk to people about nutrition, I think that's their biggest, and I don't know if you'd agree with that, but that is what I find is the biggest struggle for people. And so they say, you know what, if everything's bad for me, right, that's the idea that people start to get is it's all bad.
Yeah. What's the point?
Yeah. So if it's all bad for me, I might as well eat what I love to eat.
What I enjoy.
And be happy and die happy instead of die from stuff that I thought was good for me.
Yeah.
And so for me, what I want to do is kind of bring some really simplistic, really never-changing principles today and say, here are some really simple things. If you implement these things, they'll never change and you'll be okay. And so let's talk really what nutrition is and what it does for us. This is the first conversation that I always have with my students in the class is who out there wants to be or is aspiring to be or actually is a nutritionist, right? And I'll ask that question. I can't ask it here because I'll ask for raised hands, and that doesn't help me at all.
It doesn't.
And Cheryl would raise her hand, but she is. I mean, that's her profession. But what I want people to know is if you ever choose food for yourself, for someone else, for your kids, you are in effect a nutritionist because you're the one making the decisions.
Very good point.
Right? And so I want people to think of themselves that way. And then also, why do we eat food? Right? Humans are a very fun species that we're kind of the only species that eats food for other purposes than just plain nutrition.
Absolutely.
Right? The story that I love to tell is my snake at my house. My son has a corn snake. He's not very big, but we lost him. He got out. Snakes do that.
He's scary.
My wife keeps a bag packed in the house for when the snake gets out because she doesn't want to have any part of it. Yeah, she's gone. She says, Connie. No, when the snake gets found,
I don't blame
then
you.
I'll move back in. Because she thinks
it's for you to move it. No, it's for her to move
Well, maybe. No, she wants to get out of there because, no, she's not packing me up, luckily. But the problem is she thinks it's going to be in her shoe. You know, or in her sweater. You put your hand in your pocket, there's a snake.
Ew.
Yeah, no good. There's been a collective cringe across everyone that's listening right now.
No.
So the snake gets out, and my son was devastated. And we looked very hard for a couple of days, maybe even a week, and we could not find the thing to save our lives. And so we quit looking. And luckily, he was small enough, maybe like 3 earthworms taped together. You know, pretty much was how big the snake was. That it didn't freak my wife out too much, and so we quit looking, and literally 4 months went by, and my son went down in the basement. There he was crawling across the ground.
No.
4 months.
Was he bigger?
No, he was much smaller. But this is the illustration is that he needed to live, and so he found sufficient food to live. But I think if I got out of my cage for 4 months and I couldn't find the food that I loved, I'd probably just resign. You know, I think I'd be done. It's not like I'm just picking up random things, you know. Yeah. And so we eat for many other reasons than just nutrition. But what we have to realize, and this is the second thing that I want people to understand, is everything you put into your body turns into something in your body.
It all counts.
It all counts.
Into something.
Exactly. Yeah. It has to turn into something. The body has to do something with it, and it has to make a new human. That's the other thing, too, is I think people realize or people start to think, hey, look, I look the same as I did, right, especially now that I'm in my 30s, early 30s. Very early 30s.
He's not.
No, I am.
Oh, sorry.
Come on. Not very early 30s, but I've looked the same pretty much for a few years now. And so I look in the mirror, I think, well, it's the same me as it was yesterday. What I don't realize is every 2 years, every single cell in my body has turned over and is a new cell.
That's right.
Bone cell, skin cell, muscle cell, all of it's turned over. Constantly, trillions of cells being made, being destroyed to rebuild me.
Right.
And so I think if people realize that, hey, I'm taking food in because it's making a new me, well, what do you want to look like in 2 years?
Right. I'm preparing for the better me, hopefully.
Exactly. And so that's what I think is when you put food in, I want you to literally see it as building blocks. Now, don't to let that take the fun of eating away, because there are fun things to eat
Yeah,
that
but
can
we
make
never
you look
take
good.
the fun out. That's
No,
part of
you're
our
right.
obesity epidemic.
You're
That's the
right.
problem. Yeah, too much fun.
Too much fun. There's
Yeah.
fun there's good fun
Yeah, we
that
have
we can
rules for
have,
that.
and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. and so if we know that, hey, I'm regenerating myself, I'm trying to build new cells every single time I put something in my body. And I love the idea of a building site. This is I love this kind of metaphor, right? Because it has so many applications. And so the part of the building site that I'll focus on today is when you show up to build something. And I am not a builder. I want you to know, if I showed up to build a house, I would be very confused.
Yeah.
But I know some people are skilled at that. But I like to think of maybe Legos, right? I can build a mean Lego house.
Minecraft.
Right, Minecraft. There you go. If I show up to the building site and I'm expecting a certain type of material, right? If it's me Legos, if it's a good builder like wood and bricks and things like that. If I show up to that building site and it's a different material than I was expecting, I'm going to be confused. Right?
Styrofoam Legos.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or not even Legos at all, like some weird, something I've never,
Lincoln Logs.
maybe a Lincoln log, right? I go in and my expertise is Legos,
Yeah.
and I got Lincoln logs.
Yeah.
Now, I have to build. There's no option of saying I can't build.
Right.
And so I'm going to have to build something with what I'm given. And so this is the first thing in nutrition that I say, your body needs to recognize what it's using to build you.
Absolutely.
Right? And so if it shows up and it's got the wood and it's got the nails and it's got the bricks and it's got whatever else,
Effortless.
it's going to be so happy.
Because it knows what to do with
And
it.
it's going to make you a beautiful house.
Yeah. That's right.
But if it shows up and it's got, materials that it doesn't know, it's going to be very confused. And I want you to know it's going to be very stressed.
Yeah. Stress is not going to create, you don't know what it's going to create. It's not going to create the right stuff.
Exactly, and you don't have a clue in anyway. And so these are things that are going on as you're eating. So those nutritional principles, I want you to know, when we eat things that we don't recognize. And when I say recognize, I mean if it's not in your pantry, right? I went shopping with a group of young men about ages 14, 15-year-olds. And we were shopping last night because they're trying to get a cooking merit badge. And we went to get bread because we were going to make some sort of sandwich. I know. But we started to look at the bread, and the kids were like, well, what should we look for? And I said, well, read the ingredients, and if you recognize the ingredients, it's probably better than if you don't. And we did find a good loaf of bread that just had whole wheat flour, it had yeast, it had eggs, it had some sort of oil, and it had, I can't remember, I don't think it had sugar or anything. I mean, it really was like 5 ingredients. They were beautiful. In fact, I can plug it was at Days Market because they're a supporter of the station, the show, and so I should mention where we found it.
Yeah.
And I was amazed. I looked out and I said, you know what? This is bread that was homemade. It's not chocked with preservatives. They're not worried about it being on the shelves for, a year or two. And so I could buy that bread with confidence, knowing that, hey, my body will at least recognize what I'm about to put into it.
Absolutely.
And so as I talk about these ingredients that I try to keep out, these are really the top ones that are just consistently in these foods that really aren't very good for us. And so obviously there's going to be a list of them. In fact, let's talk about preservatives. I don't know if you know this, Cheryl, but there's a group of preservatives that's called generally regarded as safe, GRAS. Have you heard that term before? So basically what happened is back a few years ago, I think it was in the 50s, the FDA kind of just came out and they said, hey, whatever's been in the food from this point up till now, we'll just put in the safe category because there's too many for us to test them all. So if they've been in food right now, hopefully people haven't been harmed by it, and so we're going to put it on the list and call it generally regarded as safe. Yeah. And they don't test them. Now, from that point, anything new that was going to be put into food did need to go through tests. And so that was kind of that point. But I'll tell you, the list of GRAS preservatives is numerous. Tens of thousands. And scary. And I'll tell you that when they do find one that seems to be causing adverse effects, then they say, okay, we can study it, right? If enough people get sick or whatever. And there have been a few that have come back and said, yeah, we probably ought, and they've been banned from this list of GRAS substances. And so if you don't think, and I'll tell you this kind of almost epiphany type of a moment that I had. I was actually at the gym running on the treadmill, and I saw CNN was doing a study. They were reporting a study that Harvard had done a few years ago. And they attributed, this study in Harvard attributed almost about 170,000 deaths in 1 year in the United States attributed to drinking sugary soda drinks. 170,000 deaths. In fact, yeah, if people don't know, that would put that number 3 on the list of of killers in the United States that year, behind cancer or heart disease and cancer. And so they're reporting this. The reporters are, and this is CNN, right? This isn't just some crazy local radio show like me. I would be making fun of anything. This is CNN. They're supposed to be who knows what. Anyway, and they're laughing about the study. Like they're genuinely laughing and joking and treating it as something very lighthearted, right? 170,000, and they're like, oh, I guess I shouldn't go get my drink tomorrow. Ha 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 ha. And
I would have been a call-in.
I was mad. I want you to know, right? Because I thought, you know what? If they were talking about some new disease, if they were talking about some almost anything else than something that everybody eats, right? That almost every single person partakes in. If they were talking about anything else, it would have been grave. They would have had, this weird music. They would have talked about Soda Watch, 2012, right? I mean, it would have been
That's
pushed.
what I would love.
But it was a joke. Yeah. It was a joke to them, and it was sad. And I thought, good grief, 170,000 deaths, and we're laughing about it. And I'll tell you that I was sick, and I was annoyed, and I was not happy. It made me run faster, probably, to be honest.
Well, you watched the obesity epidemic.
Well, yeah, exactly. And so as I saw that, and I saw how people really don't make the connection between when I eat well, my body likes it
and can do better.
And how many people will eat something and then an hour later have weird symptoms and never tie the two together until someone tries to tell them.
Yeah.
Who would leave their phone on?
I turned mine off.
That's a rookie. That's a rookie mistake right there.
It's your debut. It's
That's
okay.
right. I'm allowed. So the problem is we need to start connecting that. We need to start saying, hey, when
Mindful
I eat,
eating.
exactly, when I eat well, my body performs a certain way, and when I eat not as well, my body performs a different way.
Understanding what's well, what's not well. That's the key right there.
Well, and that's the problem that I think most people don't feel like they can make that decision.
They want to make good decisions, but the reality is being taught. I mean, it's so easy sometimes when I have people in my office and I say some easy things and they're like, "That's it." I'm like, "That's kind of it."
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of it. Yeah.
And when you can do it and do it well, then and it's super great. Hers does? Oh, sheesh. Sorry, Cheryl.
I'm never soft. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. That's
Sign me up for
nice
soft.
Work.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a hierarchy thing here. I don't think your mic should be
my
louder.
My mic doesn't get to be as loud as yours.
That's right.
That's okay. My chair's shorter too.
So see, here we are joking.
I know. Sorry.
No, it's okay. So when we recognize food, our body recognizes food, and it performs better, and it gives us what we want out of it. And so when we don't eat the right things, and one thing I want you to know is when you eat these chemicals, when you eat these things that, again, that we don't really know what they do for us, most of them.
And they don't either usually.
No, it creates widespread inflammation in the body. And that's one thing that's really being studied a lot higher now as far as what inflammation does to disease, like what role it plays, especially widespread body inflammation.
Well, and sugar feeds that. Sugar creates inflammation in the body. It's like the feeder of it.
Big time.
It is.
Big time.
So the connection's huge.
So what we want to do is we want to keep most of these chemicals out of our food. And when we do, again, what I want you to know too, the inflammation comes with the inflammation is the stress response. And I talk about this a lot in my office as well, is stress. And most people, when I say stress, they think of, all right, I think of 4 kids under 7. That's what I think.
Single mom.
Exactly. We think of this emotional side of stress, which is big.
Right.
But when we eat chemicals and it initiates a stress response in our body, it's just the same. The body doesn't care where the stress comes from. When it goes into stress mode, it does specific things.
And then it compounds. All of those things compound on
Right.
top of each other.
The fun study I like is the NutraSweet study, right? Remember they pulled NutraSweet a little while ago because it was giving rats cancer. I mean, that's what happened.
Always did, really.
And so they pulled it. Well, NutraSweet got mad because they had a product that they were selling and making a lot of money out of. And so basically what they were able to do is convince the FDA that
Who always
no
have
one,
her
right, that no one would consume that amount of NutraSweet in order to get the cancer. Well, the funny thing is when I hear that, all I think about is someone with their like big 64-ounce
big
jug
from the Maverick
that they fill up 3 times a day.
at morning, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
Yeah, 10
I mean,
and
it's
3.
true. And we think, oh, but it's 0 calories, so we're good to go.
Absolutely.
And so
and you know, they're addicted to that.
Oh, yeah,
it's
for
really
sure.
an addiction.
Well, and it lights up the brain sensor. I mean, really, there's things that happen with it, but it just makes me laugh. And I get kind of snooty with people, too, because they say, oh, I know Diet Coke's bad. And I say, don't worry, it only gives mice cancer, right?
It's only mice. It makes you fat, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes you fat.
So the other thing, too, is when they do test these chemicals, we have to realize that they don't test them in the concentration that we get them.
Absolutely.
Right? And so let's say that they put a chemical in the food because they've tested it on animals and things like that and said, oh, this isn't bad for the animal. The animal seems like he's okay, maybe a little lethargic, wants to watch a little more TV. But he's not dying, right? So this should be okay, so we'll put it in the food. The problem is we don't eat food with just that ingredient. Right, we take all of these different ones, and again, pick up any processed food, go into the real center of the grocery store, and find something that has just, I mean, such a long list of ingredients that they can't even keep it on. The, you know, you have to like turn the box over, and go to the side, and then it says for the rest of the ingredients, you know, go to the website.
Side panel. Yeah, open the flap.
Or my favorite, I constantly tell people, my favorite is the and/or.
Oh, yeah.
You got this or this
We're not
in there.
Sure.
We don't know exactly
We're not sure
which one.
We made it,
maybe
but we're
one
not
of
sure.
them. Maybe one of them is in there. And so we have this huge array of all kinds of chemicals that are in there that we've never tested in that way. Right? And so again, I'm not trying to make anyone too paranoid this morning.
Here
but
I am.
What I do is if I can give you a list. And see, now we're finally getting to the meat of the show. Sandy, I told you I could talk. See, I've only got 10 minutes left. I could probably go another 2 hours. We're getting to the meat of the show here. My top 5 ingredients that I want you to avoid. And if you'll just take these out of your food, I can guarantee they will bring most of the other chemicals with it because it's almost like they're friends, you know. And so if you can get these 5 out, and I'll give you reasons why, but if you can avoid these 5 at the very least, then you'll clean up your diet, I'd say, by 90%.
90?
85.
Okay. I don't know. Bring it on. Tell me what you got.
80. Okay,
tell me what you got.
What was the statistic of how many? Maybe 1 in 500.
1 in 500, yes.
But no, really. And so what I found is these are consistently in these processed foods. And when we get all 5 out, you're left with a very nice-looking product, to be very honest. So let's get into them. The first one, and it's funny because I know there are some people out there listening that know my list, and so I'm very excited. I want them to, in fact, if they're listening in a group, I want them to shout out before I do so that people know that I talk about the same thing over and over. How am I going to do this once a week for the rest of
We'll give you the material.
Hopefully. So the very first one, high fructose corn syrup.
Oh, bad.
And I want you to know these are in order. I think that's if you can get nothing else out, if you like every other ingredient on this list, but you can get that one out, I want you to. Now, the funny thing is, a little while ago, remember there was this commercial campaign.
I love this one.
Right? Wasn't this a fun commercial campaign?
Sugar is sugar.
Yeah. So you had the people. My favorite one was the one where they're on the blanket eating the popsicles. Yeah. Right? Oh, but that has high fructose. So you've seen this commercial. Now, can you recall the last time you saw this commercial? Because it's been a long time. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you why. Because those came out, and now they're involved in a lawsuit because they found out that what they were saying in the commercials was not true. So, high fructose corn syrup, my number one problem with it, again, I can give you all kinds of things, but I want you to have something you can sink your teeth into. My number one problem with it is it does not cause an insulin reaction when it enters the bloodstream like sugar does. So sugar goes in the bloodstream, spikes your blood sugar, insulin's released. That's not always a great thing anyway, but at least that's normal physiology. With high fructose corn syrup, what happens is it gets into the bloodstream and hangs out for a little while.
Creating havoc.
Before it actually, so your blood sugar all of a sudden now is raised and elevated for a much longer period of time than your body is used to.
That's right.
And so if nothing else from that ingredient. Now, what I want you to know is a very cheap way of making sugar. That's the other thing, is it's corn, man. We got so much corn.
Yeah,
laying
we
around.
subsidize that.
And so it's very cheap, and so you basically get two things out of this. First of all, you get the bad sugar. I mean, really, sugar's not great anyway, and we can have a whole hour about that.
We must.
And we probably will. But at least you get the sugar that your body doesn't really recognize as sugar out. And so if you're going to have something sweet, I would rather you get something that the body says, hey, I know what that is, and it will initiate that insulin reaction than something sweet that doesn't initiate the insulin reaction. And so if you get that one out, I promise you start looking at these ingredients, you will be amazed at how much of this food has high fructose corn syrup. In fact, you'll start to laugh, to be honest. Well, maybe you won't laugh. You might get sad.
I get mad.
Or mad. I've seen Cheryl throwing stuff down at the grocery store.
No, you haven't.
She's been kicked out of a few. It's second ingredient. Oh my goodness. Yeah. See, we're getting. I knew I would be rushing. My wife said, "Talk slow, but not too slow." She don't want me to sound too slow. Anyway, second is the hydrogenated oils. Now, the fun thing about this ingredient is that the FDA is actually looking at it and wants to ban it.
I agree.
It's banned in a lot of countries.
It is.
And if you don't know what a hydrogenated oil is, I'll give you a quick history lesson. Basically what happened is we loved how saturated fats made our food taste. We loved our pie crust, right? We loved it. They just made it taste good. It cooked well. But we started to think that saturated fats weren't good for us. And so we said, okay, well, how can we make an unsaturated fat act like a saturated fat?
I'm going to break it.
And the answer was put it in a big, pot, basically, heat it up, and throw hydrogen at it. And when that happens, that's where hydrogenation comes from, is we're hydrogenating these oils. We're putting hydrogen in them to make them act more like a saturated fat. That's why margarine's solid at room temperature. Most oils are not, but because it has enough hydrogen in it. Well, I will tell you that the American Dietary Association has come out and said that there is no safe level of trans fat in our diet. And you get trans fat from these
Absolutely.
Hydrogenated oils. Again, another one that you will be amazed.
So is butter better?
Butter is better. Butter is better.
And that is
Grass-fed.
And that is
Cows.
that's not a discussion anymore, for sure.
That's 100% true.
In fact, if the FDA does outlaw hydrogenated oils, margarine, as we know it, will be
go
gone.
away. Yay.
It will.
The fact that we've been eating butter since '85 was a good thing.
It's
Good
a
work.
good thing.
Atta girl, Sandy.
Go Sandy.
So hydrogenated oils is another one. I want you to look for that. And I'll tell you that a good key to know if there's hydrogenated oils in a product or not is it will say on the front that there's 0 grams of trans fat.
Yes.
I almost guarantee you
Yeah.
that you'll find it in there. So look for that. Partially hydrogenated, those are both the same thing. And you want to look out for that. That's number 2. Third is a really funny one. It is monosodium glutamate, or MSG, is what we hear about.
Doritos. They were in Doritos.
Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you that the companies got smart, because as we started to talk about MSG as bad,
They started writing it out.
It used to be labeled MSG.
I know.
It really, really did. It was MSG in big, bold letters.
yeah.
It was easy to find.
And
Say,
now it's
okay,
monosodium glutamate.
Yeah, now they spell it out.
Yeah.
Because we're like, it's tucked between, xanthan gum and diet something or other. And so we skip right over it.
And like that can be bad.
But I want you to know that MSG is one of the most addictive and also one of the most allergenic substances that we have out there. It is banned in a lot of different countries.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, you
And it
talk
makes you
about
crazy.
Doritos. Yeah, you talk about really anything flavored. If you got ranch flavor, my wife was going crazy trying to find a good ranch that didn't have MSG, and almost all of them do. And so the one thing I can tell you that's bad about it, besides the allergies, besides the migraine headaches, by the way, that a lot of people experience from their eating MSG, the one thing that I would definitely say is it opens the blood-brain barrier. which people are like, oh, but isn't that good? We want things. No, we don't want.
No, we don't.
The blood-brain barrier is a protection system, so
Absolutely.
that things in the bloodstream don't get into the brain.
That's right.
When
Or the brain
MSG,
into the bloodstream.
right, or vice versa,
Right, yeah.
exactly. When MSG comes in contact with those areas, it actually opens up that blood-brain barrier, and so the big problem is what other chemicals are in that food that you're eating that shouldn't get into the brain that are now getting into the brain. And we'll talk Doritos because my number 5 is paired nicely with those. Number 4 we talked a little bit about already. It's the artificial sweeteners, especially just look for the aspartame.
That's the worst.
It's just really bad for you.
It's the Diet Coke.
And it's hard to, I mean, there's so much research. And really what I want you to know is that people that drink, and Cheryl alluded to this, which I love, people that drink Diet Coke are fatter than people that drink regular Coke.
Belly fat too. It's most especially belly fat.
And so if you're drinking Diet Coke and
Check out your belly.
And everyone loves this lie because they say, oh, but it's the other stuff's too sweet. You drink it for the 0 calorie, right? I mean, don't you think most people do?
I do. I have a demonstration in my office. The 16 teaspoon. It's in the empty soda bottle. It's in the empty Coca-Cola bottle. It's 16. It shocks people when they see really how much sugar in sugar form is actually in this empty bottle. And then I show them the little packets that equate to what's the sugar in the container. Those little 16 little
Right.
packets. And then I show them the Diet Coke, and they go, yeah, but see, there's no sugar in that. I'm like, yeah, it's full of poison. This
Exactly.
entire thing is filled with poison.
Yeah, it's and so just be aware of those. Know that anytime we're cutting calories, which is very easy to do with the sweeteners.
Water.
Yeah, and so look for those. They also are tucked into very strange places
They are.
too. Even products that have sugar in them will contain some of these
Absolutely.
too. And so look out for those. There's a list of what to look for. Aspartame is probably my least favorite.
It might be my first
Yeah.
annoying one. Really.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's actually what's called an excitotoxin. And an excitotoxin, what it does is it's like a firework. It lights your neural cells.
I'd love to see the brain on that.
Exactly.
I would.
It lights your neural cells and then kills it.
Yeah. Bye.
So you're like, woohoo! Oh.
Bye. See ya.
And so that's number 4. Number 5 is one that again sneaks into things. It's food coloring.
Oh,
And I want you to know there's enough food coloring that's been banned and outlawed since that GRAS
yeah.
thing. That's been the main thing that they've studied and found is bad. And so red 5 is bad, but so let's make red 3. That should be okay.
Absolutely.
Right. And so the fun thing about this one is, again, in adults, it's addictive. It's when paired with MSG, then it gets into the brain.
Oh yeah.
But the biggest thing for me with food coloring is kids, because it's in all of what the kids eat. I mean, who wants to eat something white when you can eat something turquoise?
Right. And I used to have a kid with seizures, and that was one of the very first things we eliminated. He no longer has seizures.
Yeah, and I want people to know,
Yeah.
you say you used to have, your child,
no
like not
longer.
someone that you had in the office. This is
No,
your
my
son.
kid,
Yeah.
At age 2, he started having seizures, and we started eliminating everything that was weird. The
Right.
more research and the more stuff I understood and learned, those were the big things, brain connection.
Right.
You know?
And we're starting, right, we always say, oh, don't give kids sugar, right,
Yeah.
because they'll be crazy.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that more and more research is coming to find out that the hyperactivity, the ADD, even some of the autism is coming more from the colorings
Yeah.
than the sugar itself. Now,
But they're always
don't give,
paired. No,
don't
no.
give your
He's
kids
not,
sugar.
nor be giving it to him at school. And
Spoonful of sugar is okay as long as it's not red sugar. No,
No.
no, really. But that's one thing is parents are all excited. Oh, it's not sweet. It doesn't have too much of this or that. But it's got all this coloring in it,
yeah,
and it's almost always at the end. You don't need much food coloring.
No, no,
so
no.
look for it at the end.
a little goes a long ways. If it says beet, beet from coloring from beet juice.
Yeah.
Yay!
Beet juice.
That's a good thing.
I know. I've had something with coloring
I have
beet juice,
too.
and it didn't taste like beets.
Yeah. No, it didn't.
So don't worry.
No, it doesn't.
Sandy was worried about my green smoothie here. It is not colored
And
by
it's beautiful.
green food coloring.
No, it's spinach and kale,
I-
Sandy.
I think there may be some, what's the antifreeze in there maybe too. But
Stop
anyway,
it. I'm telling Connie. Connie, if you're listening, honey.
So anyway, I'm going to go over that list one more time, and then we've got to sign off today. I know you want more. I know it. But the list is number 1, high fructose corn syrup. Once you get it out, if nothing else, get that one out. Number 2, we're going to have the hydrogenated oils. Again, I may have to replace that someday if the FDA really does outlaw it. Number 3 is MSG. I want you to be aware of DSG, also is disodium glutamate. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's another one that they said, hey, if
Sneaky.
we sneak this in,
Yeah.
exactly. Artificial sweeteners, number 4, and number 5, food coloring. If you can get those out of your diet, I promise you, maybe 80%'s high. 80%.
Yeah. Quantity's part
But
of it too.
I'll tell you, you'll start to eat a lot differently. You'll start to eat a lot better. Your shopping, your grocery shopping will go a lot longer for the first little bit, by the way. You'll start to look
Yeah.
and say, really?
But reading those labels is so important.
I'm telling you, it's the most important thing you do.
Yeah.
Luckily, my
agree.
wife has gotten to the ones that she knows are good, and she can do it fast. I'm still really slow.
Hmm. Some of us are slow learners.
So anyway, that's the show for this morning. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm excited to be back next week. I know Cheryl will be back soon.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Sorry, Cheryl, tell us about your office. She's over in the Clock Tower building with me. That's why when we found this out, I said, "Hey, you're coming."
Come. My company is named the Right Way Health Center, and Scott and I actually share a workshop area that we are connected that way, and so we do workshops in the area that's connected between us. But we focus on weight loss and helping people change their eating habits and change their body composition. And I have a scale that helps you to understand really what's going on in your body. How much muscle mass do you have? How much body fat do you really have? It's kind of that tell yourself the truth thing and be
Right.
honest with yourself. If you're a skinny fat and you're a size 4, but you have 45% body fat, that's not healthy either. You look good, but the reality is you're not healthy. And so, as unhealthy as the 300-pound person who's, super strong and has a better metabolism even, they're just keeping up a little differently. So that's what we do there is we help you change things around and change your lifestyle so that you like what you're eating and that you like your new body.
Well, and she does a great job. I want you to know if you're ever interested in heading over there. We're in the Clock Tower building. Give them your phone number so they know too.
Oh, yeah. It is 435-671-4131, and it's Suite 109 in the Clock Tower Center.
So come and see us. Listen to us next week. If you like the show, tell your friends, hey, you got to check this crazy show out. I'm excited to be here Thursday mornings. As long as I'm back next week, I guess we'll talk to Sandy after this. But
Sandy?
I want everybody to go out, have a great day, be well, and if you have no other reason, then do it just for the health of it.